Someone had asked me a very poignant question about telepathy, and there's a connection to the base of the spine. Some people might call it the underworld, or the lower realm, or lower chakras, or Baal, or you know, darker realms. And whether or not I felt what telepathy does or is, and certainly, it's because I've understood telepathy in a many ways for a long time. You can accomplish this through many ways of. You can use psychedelics. You could fast. You could loop your urine. You could do. There's a lot of things. Um, all of it will rid your body of certain substances and then energize it from a lower realm. And that lower realm, for some people, like is a dream world that is maybe incomplete or not fully functioning, or some people start in the higher realms. I mean, this is the. I don't want to go too deep into this because I want to keep this video as short as possible. But there's that triangle, an inverted triangle, and some philosophies say top down, some say bottom up, and that's the two interlaced triangles that give you a six-pointed star. Some people, luckily, no one will be here listening to this that doesn't already know what I'm talking about. So I'll just address the question about telepathy, telekinesis, and all of these words like that. Like, look at the word telephone, look at the word tele, whatever, and then just put something after that. I'm going to do this sort of in a reverse or a strange juxtaposition. And explaining it, I could go from A to B to C to D and what telepathy is, but I'll give it to you this way. Yes, I have had telepathy with people many times, and I've also had dream world telepathy, which means I could see it before it happened, or I had a dream about it, and I woke up, and here I am in that. And telepathy sometimes is an actual physical thing because you didn't get the certain type of energy, a certain type of message that was from, let's say, S-U-B-T-L-E. It's a fun word to say, subtle. Most people say subtle or subtle energies. It means the more rarefied energies, the very... I know if I use the word crystalline energies, that's going to be funny to people. So let's just use it's a little less dense of energy. Yeah, certainly. When you're talking to somebody. And this is very interesting because I was talking to a couple of friends of mine earlier today, and we were discussing one of my favorite jokes by everyone's least favorite comedian, Dane Cook. And the joke was him talking to a chick, and she said, "You don't listen." And he goes, "I don't listen. I hear you. I hear what you're saying." And it's very much akin to the white man can't jump scene. And I don't want to go too far into all of the extra allegory, but it's that, when people are just saying shit, you can feel them. Like, can you feel me? You know that song, Can You Feel Me? Okay, I mean, there's a lot of songs about that. I wish I could give you a better version of... I'm just not a great singer, and off the top of my head, I don't know the artist, so... As again, I'm not going to give you all the allegory, but I'll just try to get right to the point. Telepathy is very etheric and very subtle. And if you don't get it from the etheric subtle thing, then you get it from a lower, denser realm, which means, hey, did you get the message on the astral realm? Did you get it in all of these higher forms of energy? Did you get it from how? It's like, you know, when you're talking to a friend of yours and you and your friend know, and you can just look at them the right way. Now that could be just a physical, like, hey, if they look at you a certain way, you kind of get it. But it's underneath that you know what they're going to say next, etc., etc. This is yes. Once you've gotten rid of most of the shit out of your body, that happens frequently. And even once you've been there and you start experiencing that all the time, it becomes a little overwhelming. So what you do is you go back down to, as I think a lot of the people that really know, you dip back down into the denser realms because, shit, I mean, to be completely in the realm of higher density and telepathy and all of those kind of things, that the higher powers, it becomes a little bit like you separate yourself from what's going on here, and it's a lonely walk if you're I don't want to say shaman, but yeah, it kind of is. It's I mean, everyone is a shaman, everyone is a god, blah blah blah, that thing. But to get to that point, you always want to kind of dip back down, because you can't communicate so well with those people because you're on a higher level. You're on a higher, like, frequency, a bandwidth. So he was also talking about, and so you guys can look to the front of the video, the title screen, and it's a picture of the, and I didn't leave the person's name because I didn't know if they wanted me to put their name out there like that. I'm sure they were okay with it, but I you know, whatever. I just I don't like to name things at all, because I think that's, as we get into, once you start naming things, you own it. Like, you own it. Like, look at the Bible, right? What was the first thing that read? You understand what I'm saying? You start naming something. Name, NAME, is amen, and you start doing that, and no one wants to own things. That's not what it is. So that's just a little, it's a side note, but it's very important. It's something I've covered many times. So anyways, that was just my point of why I didn't want to name the person, even though I don't think they'd really care that I used their name to give you this idea. So telekinesis, and have I, and what to do with it, and where does it come from, and the lower realms of having, say, Kundalini. Some people say Kundalini awakening, or you can't really have a Kundalini awakening. You can have a Kundalini awakening in the head, the cockles, the bowels, the lower realms. You could even have it in the heart to begin with. You can have it in a lot of different places, but if all of the energy systems aren't clean enough, you can't bind them together and express them like a Christmas tree, like a how do you put this? It doesn't all function together. You can't see the whole system work. So your body, like, sometimes you, like, you know, if you do a bunch of say magic mushrooms, I could see how it all works. Yeah, great, that's awesome. But you're so in a headspace that physicality is so separate, and that those are the two farthest things. And then you have something in the middle. How do you feel about both of those things, which is heart realm? And then you have your vocal realm, which is how to speak about how you feel about something, and how you actually, well, you know, how you feel within, like, how your heart center works within. How do you really feel? Like, that's the lower realm, bowels world. Like, you can't feel someone's heart unless you cut their chest open and grabbed it, but you could feel the ground. So there's the lower realm. And then you have the things you've eaten, which is a realm up, and then you have the things that are beneath what you're saying and above what your heart is. You know what I'm saying? There's these, and that's the 7 general chakras that people speak about. And telekinesis is being in tune with any of those things, but mostly it's the how the brain works, to connect to systems that you're not familiar with, because things are cleaner. So your brain, like once you think of it in the way that, let's say gravity, like gravity and a thing, it's just density and buoyancy. So once you remove a little bit of the density from it, it starts here, and the densities kind of, you get rid of some here, then you get rid of some here, then here, then here, and then here, and the density just goes away, and there's no denseness to things. There's a light to things, a lightness. It's like after you've done a few days fasting, you do a little juice, blah blah blah. Everything you kind of just walk around, you're bouncy. And he was talking about being on his toes. Like when he wanted to say something, he was always, everything was a little more it's right there. And yeah, that's when your body has become more cleansed and awake and aware. And telekinesis is easy from there. It doesn't mean you always have to respond to it, because you have telekinesis, or I want to say telekinetic. Yeah, there it is. I got it right that time. Energies from all sorts of spaces. Doesn't mean they're for you, or what you need to respond to, because there's people that have all their chakras open that aren't necessarily capable of or wanting the same types of things, and that's always the burden for people that talk about spirituality, because they think it's always because their chakras are open, everyone should like and want and know what they know and want and need and desire and all of those words, right? But it's not that. It's once it's all cleaned up, like you go, oh shit. I remember very clearly, once I did a long fast, and I was trying to do the vegetarian, like juicing and doing all that cool shit. And I was like, oh, it changed the world. Everybody should be like this. And it was more of a burden on me, because I was like, everyone should already know what I know. So even though all of my chakras are open, I was incapable of expressing myself through the densities. And so I really hate using the word chakras, because it's so, like, so many people are immune to it, because it just seems so it's like it's out there. It's like, what do you say with chakras? It's not even in. Is that English? Is that Spanish? Is that Indian? What? Where does that word come from? What does that mean? Who cares? Everybody just uses that as like some sort of easy work through to something. If you just go, oh yeah, but chakras. Oh, I'm gonna be a vegan today. Oh, chakras. Yeah, chakras. Yeah, that's connected to the telekinetic activity, which is existent on all levels of your body. You could say levels. You could say realms. You could say chakras. You could say pieces of your body. Like how your feet work. Can you dance? Can you sing? Can you think? Can you speak? Can you feel? Can you eat well? Those are all different. Those are obviously, you could look at it. Everything I just said there is connected to one different chakra in your system, a different body part, a different internal organ, and each one of those has the capacity to teleconnect with other things, other beings, with whether it's a plant or another human. And so to finish this up, because he was talking about, I think it was Saul Williams he was talking about too, and what Saul had said was something about life and death, and you're always. You see, I'm not gonna do this justice because I don't have it in front of me, but it was basically like you're always. He was saying you're always there, like you're there. That's what you have. And you can connect in certain ways at certain times. You can't connect to everything at the same time, because to me, and to anybody that's been to that really, really like empty realm, then you're just all things at all times, empty space, and then you have to dip back into this, which includes density, and sometimes being, dense, right? Like, I'm sorry, I didn't notice that, because once you, as Alan Watts put it, so very aptly. Once you become God and you can see and hear and feel and know all things, you'll win every card game. You could walk into a casino and win every time. Everything anybody thinks or says, you'll know ahead of time, and it will become very boring because you will never lose, if that's even a thing. You'll just never be wrong. You'll never lose. You'll never have a anything to play with in your life. And once that happens, you have to immediately hit the button that says "Surprise me with something I don't know," and that's. I know I went to the next step of telekinesis, but the first step of telekinesis is like accepting, like, yeah, oh yeah, you're in there, like you got it. So just don't worry about it and just accept what you get, and if it's valuable to you, then let it prosper. And if it isn't, because telekinesis is knowing something isn't good as much as it is knowing something is good. So I'm not going to go any further with this. I hopefully that answers most of the idea, and you know who you are that asked me that question, and obviously everyone else can have that answer too. It took a few minutes, but there you go. Enjoy it, and I'll talk to you guys soon.